Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is a lyrical one-shot voted by you guys, and it is part of the Secret Love series, and it's called I Have Loved You Since We Were 18. And I hope you enjoy. Massive shout out to the amazing Zippy for the use of her artwork. She's just hands down. So make sure you go and send her loads of love. All her information is down below. Make sure you send me loads of love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on future one shots like this and series and so many goodies. And I hope you enjoy. Adrien's POV. Oh, what are the chances? You grab the blanket and I'll get the basket. Run! Adrien called out, his feet already sliding in the newly formed mud in the grass. Marinette chuckled, tugging at the corner of the woolen blanket, which was already sodden by the downpour. You mean the chances of rain in March? Adrien, I love the gesture, but seriously, the chances were pretty high. I was hoping some of your ladybug luck might rub off, or for once it might be on our side. Adrien groaned at the large droplets of rain, the kind that soaked you in seconds, as if you stood in the shower fully clothed. Aw, I forgot my kitty doesn't like the rain. Marinette continued to giggle as she dashed onto the path. Wait! She dropped the load in her arms, half onto the grass and the other rest into the puddle. Marinette, really? This is not the time to stop. We need to keep moving. Adrien jiggled on the spot, wishing he had thought this through better, at least bringing a jacket, and stared at her in disbelief. What on earth are you doing? Even his annoyed tone was surrounded by affection, baffled by this wonderful, strange woman. He watched her crouch down on the gravel path with her shoulder bag open, rummaging from side to side and taking out some questionable items. What is all this? And what are you doing? We need to go. He couldn't help but laugh as the huge droplets streamed down her face and dripped off her jaw as she shot a grin at him. She was enjoying this. Maybe he was lucky after all. How else did he explain having such an amazing person as Marinette, the love of his life? I know it's in here. She took out a sealed package that caused Adrien to laugh in wonder. Yes, I knew it was still here. Marinette yanked out a thin black umbrella. Here, come on. She pushed it open and gestured him next to her. He stared into her ocean eyes, which were alive like a stormy sea inside his heart, drowning in the love of this person standing before him. You still have my umbrella? But... The droplets pounded off the canvas as he clasped his chilly hands around hers, gripping tight in case they flew away. His other landed on her soaked thin cardigan, but suddenly he stopped, feeling the cold. She rolled her bottom lip as the grin spread across her face. Did she realize how adorable she was sometimes? Well, I never gave it back. I tried once, remember? But you refused, even rejected walking me home if I remember rightly. So technically, it would make it my umbrella, really. She tilted her head to the side and gave him a little smirk. Yes, but that doesn't count. I was a fool back then, not realizing what was in front of me, who held my heart, and yet unable to admit it. Do you ever think, if we had gotten together then, we would find ourselves still in this moment? Or do you think it would have fizzled out? Too young to handle that amount of love? She ran her fingers across his forehead, brushing away his wet fringe that seemed to have glued itself to his forehead. He leaned into her touch, which still held a hint of magic in them, like no time had passed. I would like to think we would still be standing in this moment. Soaking, freezing, shivering after a failed picnic in March. Ha ha, my little bug. But seriously, so in love. Because I am. No matter how we got to this moment, I'm just grateful that we are. He leaned in and could taste the rainwater on her lips. But I promise you, whilst I have got a heart and I got a soul, then believe me, I will use them both to show you how much I love and adore you. And yes, we made a start on this journey, be it a false one, due to me being a fool, I know. But I wanted to celebrate us today, so that I never forget. Baby, I don't want to feel alone again, not like I was back then. She leaned up on her tippy toes and kissed him on his cheek with such tenderness and love that he felt the warmth course through his body. Oh, Adrien, you'll never be alone again. You'll always have me. I'm planning to spend the rest of my life with you. You will be my first and last love, Adrien. Only love, I hope. He shot her a quizzical look. Well, she gave him a cheeky wink. There was this boy for a while, 2 years in fact. He was dressed in black, liked to jump across the rooftops, and I think he might have saved Paris a couple of times. I can't tell you how many times he came to visit me on my balcony, cuddled, we even kissed. And I have to admit, he stole my heart. My kitty. I loved our secret dates during our first years together. They were so precious to me. From the first kiss, that was it for me. Where I would lay down in your arms and never wanting to leave. My hands pressed to your cheeks. A long way from the heartache I felt just being your friend in the playground. But then my kitty turned out to be you, Adrien, my love, best friend, and everything I ever wanted. He closed his eyes to the touch of her fingers running through his hair, encouraging his face closer to hers, as if he needed it. But this kiss wasn't a gentle gesture. It filled him with a passion that left him in no doubt where her heart lay. Hers was his and his was hers, forever. They were pressed together, molding into one. I have loved you, Marinette, since we were 18. But this is where I beat you, Adrien. Her eyes rolled up to the top of the umbrella and then back onto his gaze. I have loved you long before we both thought the same thing. Yet, it wasn't this. To be loved and to be in love. All I could do back then was express my love as your kitty. He had to say the words Adrien couldn't. That these arms were made for holding you. He pulled her in tighter, his chin resting on top of her head. It was true. His arms were molded perfectly around his princess, where she belonged, knowing if anyone tried to break them apart, he would shatter into millions of tiny fragments, unable to be placed back together. Promise me, my love. She muffled into his hoodie, nudging her head into the nook that was made for her. Even when we are old and these memories seem more like stories, that you still love me the same, as I always want to love you like you made me feel when we were 18 and you stole my heart in that secret garden. That is an easy promise to make. He angled his head so to kiss the top of hers, the wet black blue hair shimmering like the night sky. You'll never realize how grateful I am that we took a chance. We tried. It was a gamble, and yet, all along, in my heart, I knew it'd be fine. He felt her body give a slight shudder against his, and knew the cold was starting to seep in with the lack of movement. Come on, my love. I think we might have to admit defeat on this date. We? Okay, me. But in my defense, the weather report said it was going to be a glorious spring day. Technically, it's still winter, but you get an A for effort, and I love the thought you had placed into it. Plus, we now have this romantic moment to remember. Wait, I have finally got my umbrella moment with you. The largest grin spread across her lips as Marinette let out an excited squeal, causing Adrien to burst out laughing. Really? It meant that much to you? Oh, you have no idea. I have waited for this moment since I was 14. She raised her eyebrows at him and gave him a little smirk, and a blush flushed across his cheeks. I'm sorry it took so long for it to happen, and yet I'm kind of glad I didn't realize how much pressure there had been on this moment. No, this was perfect and well worth the wait. Her body did another involuntary shudder against his and could feel tiny goosebumps forming on her skin. We had better get home and dry off before we catch a cold. So I was thinking we could watch a film, pour me a hot drink, oh, and I don't know, snuggle into the one I love. Or she slid out of his embrace and stood under the pouring rain. Let's split the night wide open and we'll see everything. Dance in the rain. We can live our love in slow motion. She added a twirl to her moves, causing a spray to fan out from her feet. He couldn't help laughing with a giddiness, with a love that was all-consuming, watching her spirit soar to the point she could be magical all on her own. Marinette, however that sounds tempting, I think you'll come to regret it when you're battling a fever and a stuffy head in a few days. Sighing in defeat. Oh, okay, you win. She darted back towards him and his held out arm for her. So, you are planning to kiss me? Where we lay down on the sofa? My hands pressed to your cheeks? She leaned in a little closer, whispering into his ear, even though no one else was around. I mean, it has been a long way from when we were merely friends in the playground. She lowered herself down slightly, placing a kiss on his neck under his ear. Yes, I can promise you that. If we head home now and dry off. He released her a little so she could pick up her load back up again. They walked along the gravel path in step, and skipping over the large puddles that were forming in front of them. His arm snaked around her waist. Was it even possible to love someone this much? I can't believe I have loved you since we were 18, knowing you were the one for me. But really, I think I loved you even earlier, long before we both thought the same thing. The gift you have given me, to be loved and to be in love with you, Marinette. that these arms were made for holding you, never letting go. I want to love you like you deserve, to always express to you how you made me feel when we were 18. He felt Marinette pause and step, causing him to do the same. Oh, Adrien. He felt her free hand skim across his cheek, brushing away the tears which had blended in with the rain. Marry me. I have already asked you that. We are engaged. A small chuckle emitted out of his lips. He leant his forehead against hers, rubbing their noses together. You have asked me, but this is me asking you. Marry me. Today, tomorrow, or a day into the future. And I promise you to always love you. Through the good and bad times. When we are old and have dozens of grandchildren around our feet. That you will never be alone again. Not whilst my heart beats in your chest. I want to spend every second of every day in your arms and hold each other up. I love you, Adrien, my kitty. Yes, I will marry you, Marinette, my lady bugaboo. I love you in a way I didn't know it was possible. He couldn't hold back from kissing her any longer. The words weren't enough to express what she meant to him, but he could show her, prove to her every day that he was worthy of his princess, to be her prince. That would be his quest in life. Thank you very much for listening to this lovely lyrical one-shot, which is part of the Secret Love series. You'll also find the playlist linked down below. Go and check it out. There's loads of little one-shots all linked together. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Make sure you smash that like button. Comment down below what you thought of it, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on other one-shots or other series to come. And I hope you are good, and I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye.